Courage and the boldness that you gain after speaking affirmations over yourself. The more you hear it, the more you believe that it's true.
And welcome to Premier Fitness. I'm Gene Williams, your yoga instructor, and I'm here to tell you about the benefits of yoga.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. You have just tuned in to Where is the Love? I am your host. I am Stephanie Hawkenhall. Joining me is my son, Gene Williams, our co-host.
Good eye, Mike. Top of the morning to you.
Top of the morning to you. It's afternoon.
Thank you.
Or did you just get up in the last few hours?
No, I wish, but no. Needed to, but you know, such is life.
Welcome, everybody. Again, thank you for joining us. If you are here, we are asking you to share our YouTube channel. That is what you should be seeing on all of my pages, YouTube. Go to the YouTube channel, click there, go to the YouTube channel, watch, comment, ask questions. This is National Bullying Prevention Month, and we have been bringing adults on our show this month who have been willing to share their bullying stories as children, or, you know, from when they were children and as adults. Yes, adults bully too. And so that is what we are trying to get people to see, that adults bully too. So we have been very grateful to have brought them on our show to share their stories. So if you are joining us, you can see us on Roku and on Amazon Fire right now. All you have to do is go to those, search POD TV space LIVE, and you can watch us on TV right now. You can also watch us live right now on the website, podtv.tv. And again, we thank you for being here. We have a guest today. Gene, you want to add anything before I bring the guest on?
No, let's rock and roll.
All right. So our guest today she is also a bullying awareness educator. And so we have been collaborating this month on Thursdays, either on Instagram or on Facebook, having a 30-minute discussion on Thursdays, every Thursday. And so our last one is this coming up Thursday. So if you have not seen any of those, go to our Instagram pages or our Facebook pages and watch those shows. So now we bring to our stage and we welcome Dally Rivera.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and have this discussion with you.
Thank you and welcome. Dally, tell us about yourself. I didn't want to introduce you because I want you to introduce yourself and let the people know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born in Nicaragua, came to the U.S. at the age of 7, and joined the military. I'm a mom of 2 now. And I got into the space of bullying because not only was I bullied heavily when I arrived to the United States just for being different, but my child was bullied when she was little. And when I asked for help by the school, the help was not there. And I couldn't understand why, because to a parent, I think most of us parents, we think it's an easy fix. Just remove the problem, right? Like get that child away from my child as soon as possible. And they kept talking about protocols and policies. And I got sick of it. And I was like, let me look into this. And once I started researching, I never really stopped. And then 7 years after that, I created that Diversity and Anti-Bullying Academy. And I've been working with organizations of all sorts ever since. And so I'm going into, I think I already started my 6th year in this work. Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's awesome to hear what you just said, because I never knew why you were so interested in policy. So now I know. It's always when you get stuck in something, not being able to access something that you are, you strongly pursue it. You're like, I need to know this. I need to find this out. And then it's also interesting how once you look into that, your eyes are open to so much more. You learn so much more. So that's why you do policies. And
I do. Yeah, it's almost like a formula. Like until you find it and you're like, oh, wait, I can use this to my advantage to get what I want, because that's what it was created for.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't realize that schools have a policy about how they define bullying, how to manage it, what type of solutions they can offer to you, what rights you and your child have. And it's all like this whole legal thing that most parents are like, oh, I don't want to read that, it's boring. But I will, because I find it helpful. And then I like to break it down into just simple terms and explain it to parents, because if anything, as a parent, I've learned that parents have so much power when they speak up. A lot of parents do not speak up because they don't realize. They always see the institution of education as that authority that they cannot penetrate, that they can't talk to. Like, you got to realize those are all just humans. They're institutionalized to think a certain way. And then when parents come to them with different ideas, they might say no, but at the same time, they might say yes, depending on how you deliver it. And they actually do want to hear from parents, but it's very seldom when parents gather and then come and propose ideas to the schools.
Yeah.
That's good. Jean, you want to ask her something?
So I realized that your daughter's bullying story is a huge reason for what you do. So do you mind going a little more into detail about your daughter's?
Yeah. So my baby was 5 and she was really excited, and she was this sassy, vivacious little girl. So I wasn't worried about her getting bullied because, usually when you're very confident, people leave you alone. But this little boy, the summer before she started school, this little adorable kid that she used to play with, he asked her out. And she said, no, I'm 5. I can't have a boyfriend right now. and he was cool with it. Then school started, and my husband and I would walk her to the bus stop, and we started noticing that the little boy was being very aggressive with her. And it grew. And eventually we noticed that the 2 brothers that he had, who were 7 and 9, they kept telling him to man up and that you got to show her and you got to do this and that. Like all these, what I know to be toxic masculinity ideas. And I could tell that he was being bullied to act that way. His brothers really wanted him to be this big man at the age of 5. And one day it was happening, and I noticed, one of the brothers grabbed the little boy's arms and held him behind him, while the other brother punched him in the stomach, telling him to man up, toughen up. You got this. You got to be the man. And then I remember hearing him like, stop. But then he kind of also at the same time, his voice kind of changed with embarrassment that he was saying stop. And he turned to the side, and it's like a split second where my eyes locked with his eyes. And I saw then it was like time stopped. And I saw that this poor kid was in so much pain, and he was being humiliated, embarrassed by his own brothers. And he didn't want to be that aggressive kid. And he had tears in his eyes, and he was holding them back. And at that moment, I immediately just wasn't angry at him anymore, because he had tried kicking my daughter. Him and his brothers had called her all kinds of slurs and stuff, really horrible and vulgar words that a 5-year-old usually doesn't even know. But he was being influenced by his 2 brothers. And I remember My husband, well, I told him, I was like, oh my gosh, that's toxic masculinity, that poor kid. Like, that's horrible that they're giving him all this, like negative ideas and pressure to be somebody he doesn't want to be. And I said, maybe I should start like some workshops on toxic masculinity. And my husband he was like, oh my gosh, please don't. He's like, that is such a politicized term. People are going to just turn away. And he's right, because a lot of these terms, they have become politicized. And it sucks that it's happened because people won't listen to what it really is, which is just, harmful ideas that society imposes on humans, on men and women.
Right.
And because it's toxic masculinity, it doesn't mean that it only affects men. It affects girls and women too. So at the time, I was in my master's program, and my master's is in women and gender studies, but the concentration is social policy and leadership. So when I reported this thing to the driver, the lady the next day, she was like, okay, I tried to talk to the kids, but they're all scared of the bullies and nobody would admit what happened, so I can't do anything. So I went to the school principal and I spoke with her about what was happening. And she said, I can't do anything because it's off school grounds. And I was floored. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is your responsibility. Your school hired this bus company, and you're telling me that I have to go through the bus company and follow their protocols? You're crazy. And then the boys, they ended up bullying her at school. So then, of course, now it was in her jurisdiction. And every time I go to her, I'm like, hey, what are you doing? What's going on? It's like, oh, well, we have to follow protocol. We have to follow certain steps. We have to follow procedure. And I got so tired of it because months had gone by. And I just started doing that research, and I really never stopped. And once I read the policy at the school, it really opened up my eyes to how hard it is for educators to impose disciplinary action or corrective action. So it's not that they don't want to, it's really that their hands are tied. And sometimes it is that, they're not really doing their job, but for the most part, it's their hands are tied. And it's a whole bunch of crap. And it's something that us parents, if we all knew how it's being managed, we can come to the school board and propose an amendment to those policies and see, what they can do. But it's rare for parents to show up to a school board meeting. It's once a month. Usually they're long and boring. And then when you have the opportunity to speak in front of the board, you only have 5 minutes. So you have to make your case, really well. And it's not like they make the decision right there and then. Once the meeting is over, they go back, they talk about all the issues that were presented. And then at the other meeting, a month later, they might have an answer. So it's, it's a political game, and it sucks because it harms our kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's beautiful that you have the discipline, though. Like you said, a lot of people don't have the discipline to look at policies and make them like every day, like to process it in a way that they see that this is everyday life. The policies that are put out with our kids.
Yeah, it is. And, a lot of parents say, well, I'm not into politics. That's not my thing. And my answer to them is, if you pay taxes, if you live in this country, it doesn't matter whether you like politics or not, you got to care. Because it affects every aspect of your life and your family's life.
Right.
And if you don't like something, don't just complain about it. You got to speak up. And really speaking up is a lot easier than most people think. A lot of people think, oh, I got to go and protest on the streets, or no, you don't have to do any of that. All you got to do is pick up a phone or write an email about what is that's bothering you. But tell them what is that's bothering you and why, but also suggest at least 3 solutions.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to know, when you came to the United States, were you speaking English or only Spanish?
No. I remember I was in the train somewhere and coming in through Central America, and And my mom was teaching me the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 10. And I was confused. I was like, why do I have to learn this? Like, oh, we're going to a new place. I was like, well, why? I already know my numbers. And I was such a confident kid, and I had skipped a grade already. And I was like, math was my thing, and I knew how to read, write. And I was 7. So I was good. And then I came to the US, and it was a shock because everybody was, oh man, like everybody, Latinos, Black people, white people, they were all just confused about me. Like my Spanish is different. I don't know if, a lot of people have no idea that Latinos are not homogenous. We're not the same. We don't speak the same dialect. And I could not understand some of the things that, California has predominantly Mexican background, people from, Latinos from Mexico. So they would say a certain word, and I was like, what is that? And then also the way they would say it, it's kind of like when you go to the South and people talk a certain way, and then you go to LA, and then you go to Boston and they speak all, it's like that, right? So sometimes I couldn't understand what they were saying, or maybe it was like a word here or there that we couldn't really understand. And they thought I was weird, and nobody wanted to hang out with me. And then Black kids called me all kinds of names and racist names, as well as white people. And I didn't know what they meant, but I knew it was bad because it felt bad in the demeanor and the tone. And I remember I found out what the N word meant because this girl named Calandria Williams, she got mad at me because I beat her at tetherball for the millionth time, and she started punching me. Did the audio go out? Is it just me?
I'm sorry. I was on mute. Jean, I hear a lot of static. I forgot I was on mute, but I keep hearing static, so that's why I keep going on mute. Would you
do the same?
Would you mute your microphone too whenever Dahlia is talking to see if it goes away? Okay. Thank you.
It froze on my end. Am I frozen for y'all?
Yeah, you are frozen.
Yeah, it froze. Oh man, I think all of us frozen.
Yeah, we can still hear you though.
Okay. Well, do you want me to continue?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yeah. So Calandria Williams got into a fight with me, and we were sent into a room and spoke to the principal. And so she called me a effing Mexican beaner, and I had heard the N word. So I was like, oh, and she told me to go back to Mexico. And and so I called her the N word, and I said, go back to Africa, because that's what I'd heard other kids say. I didn't even know where Africa was, and I didn't know what the N word meant. And so she was really hurt, and she started to cry, and I couldn't understand, because I was like, you started this fight. We were just playing tetherball. You didn't like it. I don't get it. So the principal turns over to me and she says, do you know what the N word means? And I was like, no, but I know it's bad because she calls other kids that word all the time in a really mean way. And she told other kids to go back to Africa. So that's why I said it to her. And so she turns over to Calandria and she says to her, is this true? And she's like, yeah, I have. And I complained about her calling me Mexican. I'm like, look, I'm not even Mexican. I don't even know what that is. And that's when I actually learned of other Latinos, because in me and my world was Nicaragua, Central America, that one country. I thought that was a whole world. And I'll never forget that experience. It was so eye-opening. I was like, oh, and then she just explained what the N-word was super bad. And then right after that, I watched the movie Roots, and then everything made sense. And I was just, it was eye-opening.
That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Mark said, going back to the bus drivers, he wondered if bus drivers are trained in bullying. Probably not.
No.
I learned this year that in the workplace that harassment, and I learned it in March this year, that harassment and the bullying, not policies, but well, I guess it is policies, are in the same, they're one in the same.
Mhm.
I did
Yeah.
not know that. But what I did because of what I was experiencing at work is I wanted to know, what do you have a bullying, anti-bullying policy? And so I went to human resource and they gave it to me, and they were included, combined. And I said, oh no, this
Yeah.
is not good. They're similar but different, and they need to be separate because there's so much more in bullying than in harassment. I'm not saying one is worse than the other, but what I am saying is they don't need to be together. Uh,
Mhm.
so that's a big thing for me, and I really want to change that. I really want to get that changed and have them separate, and to get training, in the workplace like they have a lot of places, specifically in the healthcare field. They have different trainings every year. So, like, they have the harassment training every year. You have to do that training every year, even if it's on the computer. Um,
Mhm.
and so they have different trainings and policies that have to be done every year. And so, what I have told Jean and what I've said in the past is that we really need to, every workplace every organization or business should have an anti-bullying policy separate from harassment, for one. And every time they do an orientation, they need to have the bullying, anti-bullying training included in the orientation. And then they need to have it every year, the
Mhm.
training, to be reminded, just like they do, with some of the other policies. So those are big things for me, that I really want to see changed, because I talk to too many people that don't know what bullying is. I mean, they just think it's being mean to people, and
Yeah.
it is being mean to people, but it includes so much more. And
Mhm.
I just I just know that it needs to be changed, and I want to help make that happen. So, also, when you were talking about your daughter in
Mhm.
elementary school, it made me think of, and how the boys were treating her. It made me think of how um, I had boys that treated me bad because they liked me and I didn't like them. And they wanted me to be their girlfriend, and I didn't like them like that.
Mhm.
And my brothers are younger than I am, and a couple of them were, it's me and two boys, and the middle brother, they were his age, and we're less than 2 years apart. But
Mhm.
they wanted me to be their girlfriend, and it was three of them, and two of them were cousins. And they wanted me to be their girlfriend, and I didn't like them. So they got mad at me because I didn't like them. So they decide they gonna pick on me every day.
Mhm.
They would hit me and do things to me, and then I would go home crying, and then mom would say, what's wrong with you? What happened? And then I would tell her. So she she told my brothers, she said, if she come home crying one more time, I'ma beat y'all's behind. And she said, when they do something to her, y'all better do something to them. And I mean
Mhm.
it. So the next day,
Wow.
they start picking at me because on the bus. So I had all the way to school, and it was like a 30-minute, 20 to 30-minute ride to and from school on the bus. And so they
Mhm.
picked at me on the bus. And then when I was getting off the bus, they got right behind me and was hitting me and pushed me down the stairs of the bus. And I
Wow.
fell on the ground. And when I fell on the ground and got up, my brother, both of my brothers was right on their backs, punching them and kicking them. I got up and I started kicking them.
Oh my gosh. That's wow. That's a lot of responsibility to put on a child to go and be physically,
Yes, yes,
aggressive with somebody else. But back to your point about workplace bullying and harassment, from all of the definitions I've read about bullying and harassment, because I've done both, they are the same thing. The difference is how it is managed. And if you note it, well, first of all, there is no federal definition. Like the federal government has not defined one blanket, like boilerplate definition of bullying, because it's so hard to narrow it down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the Department of Education has come up with one, aggressive, unwanted things that happen to you that is, there's a power imbalance and it's recurrent or has the possibility of being recurrent. And then if you look at the definition of harassment, it's pretty much the same thing. So if you feel like your employer is defining it and giving incorrect examples, then that's something to bring up and discuss with them, because that's your safety, right? But for the most part, I from what I've seen, it is very accurate that bullying is a form of harassment. The difference is bullying, the word itself, is used more to imply that it's children doing it.
Okay.
But, yeah. Harassment is the more professional word, that it's happening at work. And I've studied that a lot because I have heard people say, oh, those are two different things. But when it comes down to it, if you analyze both, they're pretty much the same thing. And it's great that your employer has a policy. And it's great that you've read it, because a lot of people don't have a knowledge that they can even report. And most jobs now, they even include a, what is called if you tell you cannot be reprimanded. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, you can't retaliate.
No, the whistleblower. There we go. Whistleblower policy to go along with that. So if you report that, you've been harassed at work, or you've witnessed and somebody harass somebody else at work, you cannot reprimand it, you cannot be fired, all of that. How well all of those policies are implemented is a whole nother conversation. And back also to are bus drivers trained in bullying? No, it's very rare. Are teachers trained in depth in bullying? No, I've had so many interviews with so many different teachers at all different K to 12 levels. Not one of them has admitted that or expressed or said that they've had in-depth training throughout their education period to become a teacher, or once they're teachers. They have had some training on bullying, but it's not as in-depth as what they've seen me do, all my workshops and stuff. So it makes me really sad, because a lot of them want it. They've some of them have attended my workshops, and they always say things like, I wish this were part of that professional development training that they offer at work, but it's just not provided because supposedly there's not enough time or not enough money. And every school has a parent group. So most schools have parent-teacher organizations or parent-teacher associations. And I think a lot of parents don't really understand the power of those groups. What they do is they get together to raise funds for whatever the school cannot cover. And they're there also to represent the teachers, the students, and the parents. So for example, if there's a school that has a really big problem with violence and bullying, then the PTO members can propose a oh, did it go out?
No, we can hear you.
Okay.
But we can hear you.
Okay, good. Then they can propose a solution. They can propose to bring in your organization, my organization, whoever they want, and provide these workshops. Most schools will only invest for a workshop or some type of bullying awareness prevention program at the beginning of the school year, or when something major happens. When I was living in California, there was a school in Moreno Valley that had a huge issue with bullying, and a child ended up dying from it. They actually just settled after 4 years. They're the first school to settle for such a large amount. It was $27 million because they were found to be negligent with responding to, keep this child safe and failing to implement a program to keep kids safe. And I remember I was living, as a matter of fact, in that same city. And my kids went to a different school district. So I don't know. I thought that both school districts would behave the same way or react to bullying the same way. But the other school district where this happened apparently didn't. And I remember calling them and asking them, offering my services. And they're kind of angry and said, no, thank you. We got it. And then right after that, there was another incident that happened. And this was all over the news. So it's like these schools or the administrators don't really understand how big this problem can become. I mean, the child, he hadn't died yet. He was still hospitalized when I called. And then, once he died, then it became even bigger. And, but it's very, very common for me to, receive a no from the schools. And usually the answers are, no, we don't have enough money. Oh, we have somebody that can put that together for us. So my question to them is, okay, well, when was the last time you offered this? And how often do you have it? And I mean, I have everything already packaged pretty and simple. I just go in and I just provide this to your audience, to your parents or your teachers and staff. And I call them back, follow up, and I asked, did you happen to have them? And no, they don't. They just do not prioritize it. A lot of them admit that they don't even ask the parents if they want it. So I asked them why, and they said, I don't know. It just never occurred to me. So this is, again, like I share this because it's important for the parents to speak about whatever it is they are upset with about, how things are working at the school. It's imperative that you give feedback in a kind way because the relationship with parents and the school administrators should be collaborative. They both have the same interest. And that interest is, number one, legally. So you all know the number one legal responsibility for a school is the safety of your children. The second one is quality of education. So if you are not receiving that safety, you have every right to go in there and say, hey, what can we do to fix this? Because I don't feel safe. There's a teacher, a friend of mine, she's a teacher in Louisiana. She's at a high school, and her school they have so many violent, occurrences going on. She walks into the school principal and she says, I don't feel safe working here. What are we going to do about bullying? And he says, nothing. We're already doing we're going to keep doing what we're doing. So she says, well, it's not working. There's a fight, a very violent fight with weapons every day almost. And that's not fair to teachers. It's not fair to the parents or the students. And it doesn't matter how, I guess, impoverished the community is. They don't deserve that. There's funds out there. And a lot of funds are not being used because they're like, we're wasting our time. These people are not going to learn. And it's because of your attitude. Your attitude as an educator. If you really don't care about teaching and actually helping people, then, get another profession. But this is an issue that's not just about kids. It's an economic issue. Like, for example, attendance at most schools is really important, not just because kids will miss out on, lectures and learning, but some schools are paid, I think it's around $110 per child per day that they attend school. So every day that a child is not going to school, they lose that money. Before the pandemic, there was approximately 160,000 kids who would not go to school simply because they were avoiding a bully. So when you put that up, when you add it up, that's millions of dollars. So if you're saying, well, I'm not going to get into this, it's all politics, but it's going to hurt your pocket because those funds are being collected from your taxes to provide them to the schools. And then those funds are either misused or not being used, but it still came out of your pocket. And then the cost to you personally when a child is bullied is also very expensive. So expensive, and it's become such a really big issue that some insurance companies are offering bullying insurance. This one company in particular, they will pay for any expenses related to bullying, such as moving, because some kids move out of the state or out of their town or to another school, any mental health or any medical bills, any type of replenishing things, like, sometimes a form of bullying is vandalism, vandalism of a school computer that you have to pay back, things like that. The only thing they do not cover is suicide, even if it's because of bullying, which is another huge issue. The suicide rate here in the United States for kids between the age of 10 to 25 is really high. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in that age category. And it's unacceptable, and it's totally fixable, I would say. I mean, you're never going to fix a huge issue like that, but you have kids that are taking their lives as young as the age of 6, because now bullying goes from school to home, where you used to be safe. Like, the three of us, we experienced bullying when we were growing up, but it would end when we leave school because we didn't have those devices. And a lot of parents, I mean, I can talk forever, y'all. I should take a break, actually.
We're listening
for a while.
We're listening and learning.
But yeah, I mean, the devices, a lot of parents think, oh, it's not, they don't have a punch, like a bruise from a punch on the face, so it's okay. But the brain, your mental health, kids who experience bullying, and actually everybody who's involved in a bullying incident runs a higher risk of mental health impacts, negative mental health impacts. And the kids who are victimized actually have a higher risk of ending up in the prison system and being involved in violent acts more than kids who don't experience bullying. And people are not paying attention to that. People are not really giving it much interest, because when it's a mental health issue, it's not like you're wearing it on your sleeve the way you do a bruise, right? Or a cut. So it's actually more dangerous. And that's why some kids feel so tormented that they feel like the only way to stop it is to end their lives. And what's even worse is these children who might incite, somebody to take their life, and then they continue to bully that person for taking their life, as well as their family members, and they joke about it. It's just, I don't get it. It's like the morals, the values that some kids don't have is what is, I guess, it doesn't allow them to feel empathy. And a person without empathy is a dangerous person, because they can hurt. They can hurt really deep. And we need to talk to our children. And if you think that your child has never been involved in any type of bullying incident, whether they were the bully, the victim, or a witness, believe me, they have been. And so we need to protect our children by educating them about these topics. We need to educate them about cyberbullying, because it's so pervasive. You should, I tell parents, create a contract with your child before you give them a device, or before you let them go on social media or just on the web, and let them know about the dangers. If you think your child is too young to know about predators, then they don't need to be online. Okay? Yeah, they don't need a device, because you need to have this conversation with your child, because how do you know if they're going to know what to do or not to do? Right? Children who are innocent and don't know about stuff like that are the perfect targets for predators and for cyberbullies. And predators use cyberbullying to get them to do whatever it is that kids, that what they want kids to do. And that's scary. if parents are not monitoring their child's activity online, that's dangerous. And you can't just have a monitoring tool and set it and forget it. No, it reduces the chances drastically because it'll block certain content, certain images, certain photos, or videos. It'll also sometimes, depending on which one you get, it'll flag words like suicide or kill yourself and stuff like that. But you still have to check because remember, it's a device and it's always being improved. They're not perfect. So you have to set your monitoring tool, the device itself, and go into every app and set everything up. So when you're giving a child a device and letting them go online, you're pretty much committing yourself to be on top of that. And it's exhausting. It really is.
And part of the reason it is exhausting and can be exhausting is because kids, just like anybody else, find ways to do other stuff.
Yes.
Block me here, but I'm going to find another way.
Yes.
I mean, we just have to think about how we were as kids. When we were told we couldn't have something or we couldn't do something, we found a way to do it. And they do too. I mean, my grandson was 1 year old, 2 years old, talking about Granny, download game. So, and would go to the Play Store and download the game and would learn how to play the game himself. I didn't have to teach him. My daughter didn't have to teach him. He taught himself how to play whatever game he downloaded. They are very smart. They are very wise and can find ways to get around whatever it is you block from doing that they really want.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I teach this, and my own child downloaded a VPN to get around, the loophole. And I was like, hot darn, oh my gosh, this child, she is too darn smart for her own good. And I was like, girl, what are you doing? Like, I'm trying to protect you. And she's like, oh, but nothing's going to happen to me. That one. But every child that has been exploited, that has been cyberbullied, that has taken her life, their family members never thought, they never thought it would go to that extent. And you have every right to file a police report if they are bullied, if they're being harassed or if they're cyberbullied. And let me tell you, the cyberbullying laws or the way that it's handled with law enforcement is so not helpful to the community. They are way behind with the law versus how it's being done. There's been cases I've helped some parents where we had to report the bullying and cyberbullying because, one goes from in school to the phones. And the school would send the parent to the police station to report it. And the police station would say, no, this is a school issue. It needs to go back to the school. And then sometimes the schools will say, you got to handle that privately in your own home. So where does that leave the victim? It's unfair. And there's no cyberbullying police. You have platforms where you can report it, but how many times do they call you and, okay, tell me what happened? Let's really do an investigation. They don't do that. You just click those buttons, you report it, and then you'll be lucky if you hear from them. And the answer, it can be months later where it'll say, we found no reason to block this person, or we found that this person did violate our user policy, but that's it. They don't talk about are they blocked? Is that IP address going to be always blocked or just that account? Like, there's so many things that I think the public deserves to know, and it makes you mad. I mean, Facebook is a $1 billion company, and you're telling me you can't have a big task force and you can't build an algorithm? I mean, I know, maybe I'm talking out of because I don't know about tech like that. But if you can, I don't know, if you can put darn satellites out in space, you can hire people to catch all these, people and I know it's probably unrealistic, but I mean, it just feels to the public like they're not really putting a big effort like they do for other things that are not as important. Yeah.
It's so important for people to know that, there are things you can do on Facebook. And I know Facebook specifically. You can block people, you can unfollow them, you can unfriend them, you can hide the comments. There's so many things that you can do to keep a person away from you. Some people, I got to see what they said. I want to see what other people are saying, and so the more you see, the more torment it causes you, because you're constantly seeing all of this stuff that you don't even need to see. First of all, the person that started it, you see that it wasn't a good comment. So when you see, if you don't get to it before people start commenting on it, then you can block it. You can hide the comment. So the person that did it, if I send you a message, Dally, you won't know that I hid the comment. You will be able to see all of the comments under that post, but you will never know that I hid your comment.
Mm-hmm.
So people need to know things like that, and not only need to know it, but they need to act on it. Why are you calling this person your friend when they're treating you like crap? Mm-hmm. They are not your friend. Even family members, do that too. They are not somebody you need on your social media platform. But so many people want to see what somebody is doing and what somebody is saying. That's none of your business. When you get that in your head, you'll be in a whole lot better position.
Yeah, I think that part of the education we need to give our kids before they go online is to set those boundaries, and also social media etiquette. The moment you click like on a negative post, whether it's funny or not, but it's mean, you just became part of that problem of cyberbullying. Yes, you're pretty much encouraging that person. Yes. And there are certain things that you don't do. There's these two entrepreneurs, very successful ladies, commented on a post that I put up. I ended up having to hide or stop all comments because they were off the chain. I was very disappointed. And that I could see their point. They were trying to convince the other of their view. And I know deep down the intention was good until they just got like really mad. And one of the things that the one did is that she wrote in all caps. And we all know that when you write in all caps, you're shouting at that person. So the other person asked, like, why are you shouting at me writing in all caps? And at first it was funny because I was like, oh my gosh, these two, I was like, they're going to fix it. And they were like, oh no, this is going bad really fast. It got ugly. So I just stopped all comments. But people don't realize that sometimes. And sometimes they think, well, I wasn't shouting like that. I was bringing attention to that word. And I'm like, no, it's still, when it's like a whole 2 sentences, you're shouting. You might not see it that way, but it's about the receiver. How is the receiver feeling about your comment? And sometimes when you get a bad comment, like really mean stuff, hateful things, the best thing to do is to not give it any energy, no attention. Some people don't like that. Some people, they're like, oh no, I'm gonna, respond, or, sometimes what I've done, depending on the situation, I write, thank you so much for your opinion. That's it. Or sometimes I just leave it alone. And then if I think I've only had to block or turn off comments twice so far. I'm sure it's gonna, like, worse things are gonna happen eventually. But I have to understand that people are not educated on how to act online. If we're not teaching our kids, why do I expect adults to do it? And then there are certain spaces where it's worse than others. Like Twitter's really bad because it's, a lot of political stuff and people get really passionate, very heated about it. And my kids were like, I want Twitter. I want to know what so-and-so is doing and, what's going on. I'm like, no, you don't need Twitter. You do not need Twitter. But I know you're accessing Twitter through your friends, or you're going online and you're reading certain things, but you're not going to have it, at least in my house, here on your devices, and I'm going to make sure you don't have that VPN on or a VPN. They're smart. These
Twitter is bad. I couldn't get off of Twitter for the longest time, and I finally figured out how to delete the whole thing. But it's just horrible. I mean, it took me months to learn how to, because I would get so aggravated with the stuff that I would see, because it would just come to me, the notifications. And I like hearing, there are certain pastors that I was connected to, and they would say something, and 99 people, it would be more than that, would comment, and most of the 99 was just horrible. And I'm like, you didn't even have to say nothing. I mean, your opinion don't matter when it comes to, if you don't like it, just shut the heck up. Why do you have to comment? I don't even understand. So it was just so aggravating to me. And I would get those notifications first thing in the morning. I mean, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm waking up and I got these I was so glad when I finally figured out how to delete the account, but I couldn't figure it out for the longest. And I would get irritated and just say, well, forget it. And then when I would see another bad one, I'm like, what? How come I can't disconnect from this crap?
Well, I just, I have an account for my business, but I don't use it, and I don't even have the app on my phone. I didn't bother deleting it just because it's too much energy. But every space has a negative and a positive, and we have to teach our children how to use it for positive causes and how to stay safe on them. Because some people think, oh, too much screen time. Well, screen time is not all bad. Some kids use it for entertainment. So just be careful what they consider entertainment. Some kids use it for artistic things like creating music, drawings, really cool stuff. Some kids create something like for homework, for projects and stuff like that. Others use it a lot for connections with their family members or friends. So be mindful of how is your child using it? Because when you go and you check on the device and you see the total hours, yeah, it might be a whole bunch of hours, but if most of those hours are being spent on, say, an application where your child's using it for, like, say, music creation, then that's not so bad. But if they're spending a lot of time on Twitter, now called X, then you should start asking questions, because Twitter has there's a lot of stuff that goes on there. So there is a lot of work that goes into, parenting a child that is already online. It doesn't matter what age. And some parents think, oh, well, they're older, they'll be safe. No, you got to take into consideration also the maturity level. There's street smarts, because you still need that online. You still need it online. It's not just actually on the streets, you got to have it. And you got to also make sure that your child trusts you enough to say, hey, mom, hey, dad, somebody sent me this. Or I sent this picture to my boyfriend. We broke up and now he's sharing it with everybody else.
Yeah.
And never shame our children for a mistake, because mistakes don't define who we are. Yeah. Mistakes is what makes us grow. You've made mistakes. And a lot of those you probably don't share because you're embarrassed. So why would you do that to your child? Why would you shame them for that? Instead, thank them for sharing with you, because it takes so much courage for a child to come to a parent, because our children always want our approval. Our children always want validation. Our children want for us to love them unconditionally and to always see them in a good light, they're pleasers. They want to please their parents.
Yeah.
So when they come to you with stuff like that, just thank them for sharing. And you can say, hey, I know that this takes a lot of courage. Thank you. Okay, so let's work on a solution together. What do you want me to do? And I always encourage you to ask them, what do you want me to do? Because when we're like, okay, I'm going to do this and this and this, the child might feel like, oh, okay, she's got it or he's got it, how are they supposed to learn how to resolve that conflict for themselves? Because you're not going to be there, for eternity.
Right.
Also, your child might actually know what solution would work best because she or he probably knows the bully. Most people, even online, the bully is somebody that they know. So whether it's a fake account and the identity is not revealed, once everything's over and everything comes to light, the cyberbully is actually somebody that the victim knows very closely.
Yeah.
And that's sad. And that too is something that I think you need to talk with kids about, because they need to be emotionally prepared to realize that one of their supposed friends has betrayed them that way and hurt them that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Jean, you want to ask? We're almost out of time, Dally. Jean, you want to ask Dally what Mark put in there? You see it?
Yeah, Mark's got some great stuff on here.
Oh, Jean said that. I'm sorry. So, Jean, go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I just looked at who.
So, as we all know now, you do great work in the bullying on the bullying platform. You have your Diversity and Anti-Bullying Academy. Please tell us more about that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for asking. So this is really a program. It's a series of workshops for parents, teachers, and staff that work with children. So I educate the adults so that they can break it down to their children, because I don't know their kids. I don't know what developmental stage they're at, how mature they are, none of that. And also because I want you, the adult, to form that really good communication and for them to see how much you know. Because if they see how much you know, they'll feel safer when something bad happens. They're like, oh no, I can go to mom and dad or my foster parent or my grandpa or whoever it is, because anybody can take these courses. And there, we go through a whole bunch of topics. Like I have an entire course for just cyberbullying. I have another one on just reporting, because reporting is not as simple as most people think. I have one about the legal aspects, like what laws, especially if you have a child that has a disability, because that's a whole nother way of managing, bullying. And by the way, globally, people with any disability are the number one victims of bullying. And it's really sad because people are taking advantage of these people who can't fend for themselves. So that's what the Diversity and Anti-Bullying Academy is. And I have worked with parents one-on-one, giving them the workshops, but I mostly am hired by institutions. Like yesterday, I had an all-day workshops with a company, an HOA in Canada. An HOA, people, HOA, Homeowners Associations, purchased 3 workshops that were very long because they wanted the extended ones for parents, and because they want to help their community. Churches can reach out to me and buy whatever workshops they want. And if you refer me or anybody else, or Stephanie and Jean, please mention that this is not a one-time conversation. That's not going to fix it. You see, in 1 hour, I covered a little bit of a lot of things, but really, there is so much more that parents need to know in order to keep their kids bully-proof. That's what we want: prevention, not to get into, disaster mode where you have to react to it. Why wait? Your child's mental health is extremely important. So if you want to reach out to me, you certainly can. My website is dallytalks.com. I'm also at Dally Talks everywhere on social media, or you can reach out to Stephanie and Jean and get my information. Yeah.
Awesome. And actually, you led right into the next question. Tell us a little more about Dally Talks podcast.
Oh, yeah. I have a podcast. Yeah. Well, so the podcast is not just about bullying. The podcast is to support parents. So I've had conversations on there about, what to do before you get divorced, because, that affects children, families. I've had, people who talk about sleep training their babies. about how to have conversations with them when somebody dies, like all sorts of things, and also self-care and things, because we're not just parents, we are individuals, and we got to think about us. Like, we got to be a little bit selfish, be like, okay, it's not about you children today, it's about me. So that's what you can expect from the podcast. And aside from that, I have my book, Confident Bully Proof Kids, on Amazon. And I like to share information. I like questions a lot too, because it allows me to know what our parents wondering, and there's always a parent that says, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked that question. Sometimes you don't even know what to ask until you hear somebody who's like, oh yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
What platform is your podcast on?
So I have it on YouTube, Dali Talks Podcast, and I'm on every podcasting platform. Like, the most popular one where my listeners is mainly number one is Apple Podcasts, second one is Spotify, and then there's like Amazon, and I forget the rest, but I'm out there.
You in these streets, huh?
Gotta be.
Dali, we have enjoyed listening to you and learning from you and talking to you. This has been very informative.
Thank you.
And it's awesome to be talking to somebody that's pursuing another part of bullying, or another important component of bullying we gotta help eradicate this thing. This thing gotta go away. We need love, not all this control and bullying. And so we thank you for being on the show. She's told y'all how to contact her, so get in contact with her. Reach out to us, reach out to her. We have the information to give you. If we don't have the information at Love Misunderstood Institute, she may have it, or vice versa. So utilize us. That's what we're here for. So again, go ahead, Dali.
Don't forget Thursday night.
Yes.
Go
ahead. And I don't even remember which one we're doing Thursday night. I know it's the last one.
Well, I don't remember either, but tune in.
We'll be on Instagram this week, and Dali will be running it on Thursday on her Instagram, and I'll be so you'll be able to catch us there for our last 30-minute teaching of the month for Bullying Prevention Month. We strive to get you the information, so join us and go back to the last 3 weeks and look and see what we have on Facebook and on Instagram the first week. So join us. Take care. We will see you next Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time again. Yes, thank you.
Thank you all.
And we send you peace, we send you love, and we send you joy and happiness. Take care. Bye for now. See you next week. Same place, same time.
Had become a common thing, but I have the faith to move a mountain. As you'll see, won't let you take it from me. No, 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 no. Won't let you take it from me. No, 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 no. Won't let you take it from me. No, 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 no. Won't let you take it from me. No, 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 no. struggle, baby, cause to be the boss no more. So now just clear sky, decided to take control of my life. Now I'm not afraid to reach for those heights. Ain't no glass ceilings in sight. Take it from me. No, 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 no. Won't let you take it from me. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Won't let you take it from me. No, 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 no. Won't let you take it from me. No, 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 no. Won't let you take it from me. 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 Won't let you take, won't let you take it from me. Won't let you take, won't let you take it from me. Won't let you take, won't let you take it from me. Won't let you take, won't let you take it. Won't let you take, won't let you